are your routine. Chapter 9. So you've heard it. We are creatures of habit. It's just what it is. We tend to do what we've always done. Our brain doesn't want us to change. It likes to stay in status quo. So we need to be very mindful of those routines because these routines are set up from habits. Whatever we've done, whether good or bad, it becomes what we do. Even when we know it's not the right thing, because that is what we do, our routines become a habit. And it's one way to line up all the cues which we know triggers our healthy behavior, whether it's healthy or not healthy at all. It is just a pattern. So imagine you enjoy a good movie and all of a sudden you're thinking you always had popcorn. It seems very weird for you not to have popcorn. So that is your cue, movie popcorn. That's the routine you've done. But if it is something you don't do, you walk into the door, you put your shoes in the right place or you don't put it in the right place. That's why I used to wonder, why do I have to tell my daughter the same thing over and over again? It's just because it was her routine. It's her pattern. Unless she consciously breaks it, that's just what she's going to do. So we have seen from studies that 40 to 50% of our daily decisions are indecisions at all. Science has explained that our brain loves to save energy with habits. So you don't even want to think, oh, what was it Mama said I shouldn't do? Nope, you just do what it is that you've always done. Whether it's the right thing or not, your brain is not thinking, it wants to conserve energy. So that's why we have to strive to be intentional about what we're doing, because our brain just wants to be on autopilot and it's using too much energy to think through or even remember. So when we're doing something for the first time, the front part of our brain is active. When we benefit from the action, then we want to repeat it. And that's our brain thinking, I did that and I survived, so I would continue to do that. So front brain thinking for new things, it gets a reward, it wants it the same way we crave sugar and donuts and all, because your brain was super excited, and if you know you shouldn't be eating it, it still wants it, right? So these are things that we need to be mindful. We repeat these actions several times, it becomes a routine, and then it's stored in the deeper region of our brain. So performing that routine becomes effortless, and our brain requires less energy to do it. So this is it. This is the issue. So, sometimes they say it's really not our fault, but even though it's not our fault, we do need to we need to take responsibility. So that's exactly why it's so hard to change our habits. They're controlled by the section of the brain that is difficult to rewire. I believe that's why they say a leopard cannot change his skin. And sometimes I know this is not cool to say, but they used to say a fool at 40 is a fool forever. So it really does take intentionality. It takes reprogramming yourself and being really mindful. So let's say you're thinking about, okay, I'm going to start exercising. Your brain will say, why would you do that? We're pretty comfortable lying in bed and just pulling the covers, sheets over our head. That's because that's just what it's comfortable. So I want you to pay attention to this. Our brain loves routine, so almost half of our decisions are habits. Any behavior can become a routine. So we have to be careful what we repeat over and over and over. Our language, what we say, how we bathe, how we eat, whatever it is. It takes more willpower to establish a good routine. All right? So there's nothing wrong with being autopilot. You just want to be autopilot for the right things. Okay, so let's talk about thinking twice, right? So thinking twice about everything we're doing and not just being an autopilot. Does this serve me? This routine, does it serve me? Like if you scrolling through your phone, which I've done, and I remember what chronic fatigue looks like, actually practically passed out on the highway, then I know, okay, nope, turn it off, time to go to bed. Create that winding down time at night. So I know an hour before bed, I need to wind down and get ready to go to bed. So my brain knows, yes, this is winding down. She's ready to go to bed and she's not going to be scrolling through her phone. She's turned off the light. She's done her routine. right? So that is what we need to be mindful of, always stopping. I think the issue is that we are so busy, caught up in all the things we do, that we don't stop to question what we're doing. Is this serving me? How is it going to make me show up in the morning? How am I going to perform well? Same thing like when we're eating, you're passing and you see a bag of chips. You automatically, you just take it. You haven't asked yourself, well, have I eaten a nourishing meal today? Is this the first thing I should be eating? This actually happened to me a few days ago where, of course, the holidays, cookies and everything. And I don't know how we had some in the house because we usually like to throw the rest of it away. And I saw it, I was like, yeah, I'm hungry. And I was about to grab it, even though I was trying to make a smoothie. And I said, nope, that should be the first thing in my stomach. But that was because I paused. If I did not pause, better believe I would have eaten it. All right? So we need to be very mindful of what we do, repeat, we have to be very mindful of what we do on a daily basis. And we always have to question, like for instance, in the evenings, if you're up, that's why I try to go to bed early, because if I'm up, my brain is telling me, hey, let's go downstairs, let's grab something to eat. And you're like struggling, you're fighting and struggling and fighting, and before you know it, yep, no willpower, you get it done and you feel all the guilt. So the important thing is we need to be mindful of what those cues are, what the issues are. So let me ask you this question. So to adapt to a weight loss routine, all you need to do is to decide and stick to it. Is that correct? I'm sure you're going to say no. No. Our minds encourage unhealthy habits because they're easy and familiar. So for us to successfully adapt a routine that is healthy, we need to constantly reevaluate our mindset. So our mindset is key. So we act without thinking because our brain loves routine, and that is certainly true. All right, so we need to pay attention to our everyday choices. Whatever it is we do, we have to be mindful. I laugh because I went to order some food from an African store. This was a while ago, and I saw we have this thing called puff puff in my country, and really it's just flour and dough, and I think they put baking soda and it rises up. It's really tempting. I don't eat much of it anymore because I know it doesn't serve me well. But anyway, I saw the store. It was a new store, and it said puff puff right in front of them. And then I didn't read the thing very well, and then I went in, and it was actually vaping. It was a vaping store, which I don't know why. I guess it was puff, right? And I saw puff puff. Oh my gosh. And I went in there, and they were so nice. They were like, I was like, what do you guys do here? Because the moment I entered, I knew it wasn't a restaurant, right? And they said, oh, vaping and all things vaping, that will I like to try? And I'm like, nope. I am almost 50 and, well, 2 years from 50, and I do not want to develop a habit that is going to become a routine. I am still trying to get rid of some of my other habits that are not serving me well. And they all laughed and chuckled. So we need to be very mindful of the power of our everyday choices, not just what we watch, what we see, what we say. All those things, good or bad, if we do them consciously, if we do them continuously, they become our routine. They become unconscious choices to repeat. All right? So maybe your routine could look like coffee and crackers for breakfast. Maybe you could spend the morning exercising. You just want to be mindful of what routines you want to develop. And sometimes if it's tough to develop those routines at the beginning, you can do what we call habit stacking. Habit stacking is so good. So you stack it with something that you already do. So it is a trigger. Like for instance, if people take medications or supplements, if you put it right by your sink so that when you brush your teeth or you do your hygiene either at morning or night, you remember you're triggered to take it. So habit stacking is very, very helpful. I have a few of those, like when I wake up, do my affirmation, do my stretches, while I'm praying, to do deep breathing, drink my water. So there's chains of things that trigger my mind to do it. Because again, we have to be intentional. So the best way to set up good daily routines is don't overwhelm yourself. Don't do too much. If you do too much, your body's going to get overwhelmed. Remember, your body doesn't like stress. It's trying to conserve energy. It's going to tell you, no, stop, too much. And then you go back to status quo. So pick one thing at a time. nail it and then move to something else, okay? And another thing is another question that I tend to ask people is how many full meals a day should you be eating? So we want to make sure we have regular glucose in our bloodstream, sugar, and not one that spikes and drops. So you don't want it as much as possible. You want to avoid skipping meals. You want to have healthy, nourishing foods so that you can think through your routine, so that you can maintain healthy eating habits. And if you are trying to exercise, you definitely want to have your workout planned, the night before what you're going to do, so all these things really, really, really help you to minimize your need for willpower. It's pretty much called skill power. So all these things are skills that you put in place to get you to accomplish your goals. So embracing the ritual. I used to think I really am a person that does a lot of things based on routines. But then when I got married, kids, I just fell off and I realized that it wasn't serving me. I needed to go back to my routines. I needed to go back to my habit stacking to get me to accomplish the goals that I need to accomplish. So I hope that this lands well for you. I hope that it can help you pay attention to the things that you want in your life and be intentional about it. So out with the bad, in with the good. If breaking bad habits were easy, you better believe everyone would be doing it. But we can do this. We are capable because we have the skill power. We're not relying on willpower. We're going to replace the bad ones with the good ones. But start doing the good ones and it would totally push out the bad ones. That is what we find. Over the period of time, the body's going to say, oh, okay, that's not too bad after all, and it will want to do the good things. So foundation of a healthy morning routine is waking up at the same time. That's why we're told to wake up at the same time. If there's any variation, maybe minimum, maybe 30 to 1 hour on the weekends, but you want to make it clockwork, just a clockwork. Just like our bodies, we have a clock for eating, we have a clock for sleep and wake. And so the more we do that, the better it is. Just how it's going to go. So remember that you do deserve to live at your finest because you are worth it. So series is over now. I hope that you have just learned a lot of things about who you are and why you do the things that you do. And you are empowered now with all this information to make practical and actionable steps to get you to achieve optimal well-being. All right, take care and God bless.